Because, dude, you can't treat people like they owe you something. This is what people need to understand in life. Like, nobody owes you shit. Like, no matter what position you're in, no matter what circumstance, no matter what dynamic, whether you're somebody's employer, whether you're their husband, wife, nobody owes you shit. Unless it's like a business deal. But like, you cannot operate with the presumption that other people are going to go out of their way to do what you tell them to do just because you told them to do it. Things have to be based in something legitimate. If you think that you have authority of circumstance or authority of some presumptive aspect of some relationship which gives you the right to demand something of someone else, you're so out of touch, and your efforts will inevitably fail to get what you want out of somebody, because that's not how you get what you want out of someone. Not to say you need to be manipulative, but you need to understand like the dynamics between people. If you want somebody to do something, it has to be on principle. It cannot be because you said so. And people don't have to listen to you just because you're in some sort of position. People need to listen to you because they believe that you, number one, are operating honestly and with some intent to get towards a goal that is for the good of the group or whatever the situation, circumstance is. And two, that they give you the free will whether or not to do it. Right? So if I'm coming up to someone and saying, you have to do what I tell you to do because I said so, I'm already fucked. That's what you need to understand. Like, I'm the one who's fucked, because that, first of all, that person, if they do listen to me, they'll resent me for acting in an unfair way. And so whatever I want them to do, whatever relationship I want to set up will inevitably fail, because I'm acting out of a presumption of authority, which never is sustained. The presumption of authority comes with a price, and the price is failure of the endeavor. Because people do not respond to leadership that is forced upon them, or that they feel. People will go into certain situations because they're getting something out of it. Like if they're getting paid, they need a job. They'll work for a boss who's like that for a certain amount of time. If someone's like a relationship, like a parent, like the kid doesn't really have a choice. Sometimes you have a marriage that's abusive. Sometimes you have a state government that's abusive, and people just have to go along with it. But inevitably, no matter how long it takes, no matter what the size, no matter what the scope, no matter what the scale of the enterprise is, it will inevitably fail if you are the leader and you act in a type of way where you are demanding that people listen to you on the basis of your authority, which does not exist. This is the thing. People don't respond to that type of leadership because there's no reason for them to do so. It's only be out of fear, or the threat of punishment, which is fear, or they have some desire to get something out of the relationship so they'll put up with it for as long as they need to get that thing. But it's like, if you want to actually set up a lasting system, a lasting relationship, a lasting enterprise, when you deal with people from a position of authority, it has to come from a place of principle, as opposed to a place of presumed authority, which doesn't have any basis, and it will inevitably fall apart. So you have to understand, like, what are you trying to get out of the situation? If you're just trying to satisfy your own ego, and you're using a position of authority to do it, you're fucked. And even if you are honestly trying to get to a certain point, if you do have a goal in mind for the organization, you can't properly communicate that to the people that you're in charge of. If you can't properly give them, you have to present people with an idea, and then they have to be able to follow it because it's in their own self-interest, because they're on board. They want to get to the final destination too, because it's going to be good for them. It's not because you said so. It's because you know how to get somewhere, and they want to go there too. When you're able to do that, people will fucking move mountains for you because it's in their own interest. This is the thing. People don't do anything. People will never do anything for you. People will do things for themselves. People need to be incentivized to do something that they want to do because it's good for them. So that, with that said, like, you have to know what's good for you have to actually know what's good for other people, and then offer them a way to get there. And if you can't do that, then first of all, you're not gonna get where you want to go, because Nobody really gets anywhere on their own. And number two, nobody will follow you to get there. Because sometimes it just feels like you're trying to remember yourself, and like a different time and place, a different life, a different experience, and everything falls back into itself, and you couldn't even have known that it was gone until you step back into it. And it's like, dude, who am I? Who am I in that circumstance? Who am I supposed to be? Am I the same person? There's no way. But have I found myself in some other aspect? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, is there actually some differential between that and here and there? Like, the difference in time and space, does it actually find itself instantiated in any type of way? Or is it just a figment? And you feel yourself as if you were one thing, but you're not. I mean, I don't know. There's not really a place to understand it beyond that. Like, it's just the perception. It feels like that. It doesn't mean that it is. But you get so lost in trying to imagine things for what they should be. Trying to understand what you are. And it's just like maybe none of it even has somewhere to be if it's not related to itself. And it's like it's just comparison to the other side of the mirror. Because that's the thing, man, is there's a certain majority of manners or decorum in society that is rooted in it's solely rooted in self-interest. Like, the reason that we are polite to other people, and that's not to say that there's, I think that certain things are instantiated in the culture because they work, but we take on these meanings or these rationales for certain behaviors that I think sometimes they don't that the analysis that we take onto them doesn't predicate themselves on the actual utility of what they are. Like, people want to say, oh, I'm a polite person because I'm a nice person and I treat people well. But it's like, the reality is, if you treat people well, then they treat you well. Or you can get something. If you're polite to somebody, you can get something. I know my skin I don't know if I have like acne or whatever it is. Get the fuck out of here. I don't hear the comments, the hair, the skin, whatever, it looks bad. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it today. But the real thing is, what I'm saying is that there is a certain non-trivial element of politeness which roots itself in self-interest. Right? So when we are polite to other people, we are able to deal with them in a way that gives us returns. So it's like an investment. If you're polite to somebody, then you can come back and get something out of them the next time you interact with them. And if you're not, good luck. So it's like but that is like, that's at the root of like society's, and it varies across cultures. There's various proclivities towards that type of behavior, and on the interpersonal level, that's going to be different for whatever person you're dealing with as well. Like, some people are more or less inclined to behave that way. Now, I'm not quite sure if this probably manifests differently in different people. I don't think everyone's walking around being like, well, I'm going to be polite to this person because I'm going to try to get something out of them later on. I don't know if we conceptualize it in that way. Social norms and cultural and interactions, interpersonal interactions kind of smooth themselves over, so we don't really think about too much about why we do what we do. But just the nature of that aspect of interpersonal interaction has itself found in self-interest. So it's very interesting. I think everything can come back to self-interest if you go deep enough, right? Because it's like, you're never going to get away from, human beings will do things that are good for them. This is the incentive of human behavior. That's why economics is so applicable to social structures, because we respond to incentive the same way a marketplace does. Like, we will do things that are good for us, and whether or not we look back in the analysis and see it as something for what it is, predicated on itself, for the reason and the rationale that it exists, I don't know. The complications are endless here, and you can look at this multiple different ways. Right, you could just say that some people have a proclivity towards this, or some geographic regions, economic circumstances demand it, sociocultural, and geographic location. Different places behave differently. People behave differently depending on the circumstances that they're in, always. And then cultures and societies are the same as well. But it's like you're never going to get away from the fact that human behavior is, at least in a non-trivial quantity, rooted in self-interest. And being rude to other people is just not in your self-interest. It's true at the same time. You don't want to walk around being overly polite to people, because you can come off. Look. Don't treat people better than they deserve. This is the thing. Don't treat people better than they deserve. So you don't reward people for bad behavior. But there's a predication, there's a baseline assumption that if I treat you well, you'll treat me well. And I think that the second part of that is the more important part. Is like you want to be treated well by other people, so you treat them well. I think I don't understand how a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that part of it, where it's like your behavior towards other people is going to determine how they respond to you and what you get out of them in your dealings with them. And some people just go a full lifetime and never fucking learn that. You'll run into people who are in their 90s who are rude as fuck. And it's like, I think that's a lifetime of frustration of not understanding that the way that you bring yourself to the world is the way that the world will bring itself to you. And that goes all the way down to just basic manners. We say please and thank you. You're welcome for a reason. It's not just being polite. But here's the twisted thing. Some people will be rude and think and get an ego. People get an ego boost out of being rude. Or they feel like if they're being polite, it puts them at a disadvantage. I think that's such a poverty mindset. That's such a poor person way to think. If I'm rude to you, it's gonna give me something somehow. It's the stupidest shit. Because you'll never get anything out of it. What you will get is negative shit. You will get worse. The world will come at you worse. The world will come back at you in the same way that you bring yourself to the world, no matter what the circumstances is. But in this way, if you are rude to other people, you just get rude people coming back. I promise you, walk around being rude to other people in life, you will run into nothing but rude people. Because that's how it works. And the worse that you treat other people, like the less likely it is that they are going to. It's the thing, man. Is you'll see grown adults. You'll see old people, like people who have lived their whole life acting that way. They're just walking around being rude to people, and they're thinking that they're getting something out of it. They think I have family members like that. I have so many family members like this, that they're rude to other people, and they think that they did something good. They're like, yes, I'm going to be rude to this waiter. And it's like I guess there's a certain level where like. That's the thing is you don't want to treat people don't treat people better than they deserve. That's the other side of it too. Is like, there's some modicum of conciliatory give and take on it. If someone's but that's the thing is like if someone's rude to you, you're going to be rude back to them. And so it's like I think that's the cycle where it's like, but you can't get caught up in that, man. Like. This is the thing. Like, I'm not saying to walk around and be like overly polite and to a point of disrespecting yourself. You can be overly polite to people and disrespect yourself. But the thing is, like, you want to bring yourself to any situation, any like fresh new situation with a stranger. Like, you want to go into that being as polite as possible. And I'm not, but it's like, yeah, you don't want to come into a situation, put yourself at a disadvantage. But the mistake that people make is thinking that being polite is putting yourself at a disadvantage. It's not. Being polite puts yourself in an advantage because the way that you deal with the world, you're going to be able to get more out of the world because the world is more fruitful when you act that way. People are so stupid with this shit, man. And I think there's a lot of people in society that may be born wealthy or born privileged that they can kind of escape, they can get by. Like people get what they, you can live a life of static, a static life. Like if you're born in the upper middle class, like you can kind of just get by and you won't really fall down economically. If you play by the rules, if blah, 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 you'll get kind of the same place that you started in. That's possible. I think a lot of people, when we think about like rich people who are rude, I think that's always That's always somebody who was born rich, and then they act in a certain type of way their whole life. And I think those people are miserable too. Like the rude people in life are the miserable people. They're the miserable people. People who are rude are never happy. And it's like, yeah, dude, everybody can be rude. Like I was rude to someone yesterday. Like it does happen. But it's like you got to remember, like, when you bring yourself to the world, like, being polite is going to be it's there for a reason. It's there for your own self-interest. It's not in the people mistake this and thinking that you have to be polite, and it's not a burden, man. Like, being polite is not something that is asked of you in some, like, over the top way. But people are so stupid with this. You'll see it all the time. And people will act, the thing is, like, people will act rude as a way to try to get back at somebody. But it's oftentimes for something that they did wrong. Like, if someone makes a mistake and they feel embarrassed by it, they will try to retrieve a bit of their ego by being rude. It's the stupidest fucking, or whatever situation you're in. If you're, in an uncomfortable place or unfamiliar situation where you feel like you're at a disadvantage, sometimes people will be rude as like I don't know if it's a defense mechanism or more just like a way to, like, manage your ego. People are so egotistical. This is the thing, and, like, people will think that being impolite to someone else is a way to get yourself back up on the ego ladder or to put yourself at a better position. But it's like you are mistaking, man, because there is a piece of humanity where if someone's rude to you, don't be polite back to them. And that kind of that restores a bit of social equanimity. But the thing is, if you are just feeling uncomfortable, so I think people understand that, and they see that, okay, maybe being less polite than, like, typical would be a way to restore the social balance a little bit. If someone's being rude to you, you can just be less polite to them, and that balances out a little bit. But people mistake that so that's, you could call it being rude back. I'm not saying being rude, but just being impolite. But I think people mistake that act as being rude is good, or being rude restores the social order, or, like, I have to be rude all the time, otherwise people are gonna walk all over. Like, man, it's just such a mistake. And there's so many people that are living a life where they're just like, you're just a rude fucking person because you think that you have to be, or you think that if you're polite to people, you're going to be at a disadvantage. It's like, that's not how it works. But people are endlessly stupid, man. I've covered that a lot here, so. That's just the nature of the reality, man. Like, we find ourselves in relationship with ourselves. And so it's like, you have to be able to navigate the world in the context of the person that you are, not the context. This is what people, I think, misunderstand about the world. The world isn't a place where you're looking at the world and relating to it from your perspective. You're relating to yourself. I think that's really what it is. I think there is some truth to that. I don't know. I was kind of just saying that because it sounds good, but it's like there is some truth to that, because it's like, the world shows itself to us as a reflection of what we are. It's like the world comes at us in different versions of ourself. It'll bring you a version of yourself. It'll bring you a reflection of what energies you are bringing to it. It's like, that's, like, known at this point. Like, you can validate that experientially. I'm sure at some point they'll be able to validate it scientifically in the near future. And it's like, we have to figure out what that means. It's like, your world is it's your world. I'm living in my world. Like, this is my own world. Right? And there's consequences to that. Like, you have to have an understanding that means that you have to take responsibility of your world. Like, it's a world that you're living in. You don't get to blame shit off on other people. You don't get to say it's someone else's fault. You don't get to say it's someone else's responsibility. It's your world. So, like, that means something. So, like, we have to understand that the world is like, that's what I'm saying. You're not relating to other people in the world. You're relating to yourself, because the world is giving itself to you as an aspect of yourself. It's like a presentation of who you are in every waking moment that we have on the planet. And that man, the repercussions of that are just like, I think so many people are either going through life feeling like the world is just throwing things at them, or we get into a spot where we analyze what we experience as some sort of some sort of anterior, some sort of entity that's antithetical to what you are, but it really is just a reflection of you. And so, like, I think that all of the distance that we put between ourselves and the world is actually in error, because it's like you can't get away from yourself. And if the world is a reflection of yourself, then you're not going to be able to get away from the things that are a part of you, which include the world that you experience as well. So it's like we're putting ourselves at odds with ourselves when we face against the world in our daily lives, in our waking lives. And it's like, what a mistake. Like, what a mistake to put yourself against yourself. You're fighting yourself. How dumb could you be? How stupid could you get? It's me versus me. Well, why would you do that? Because people are idiots. That's the people don't understand. That's the thing. People don't understand the nature of the experience. The nature of the experience is to navigate and learn about what you are. That's the world. The world is giving you lessons and reflections of yourself. So if you don't like what you have in your life, it's your fault. It's you. People don't want to hear that shit, dude. People don't want to take responsibility for their own shit. People want to blame other people. They love that. People love to blame whatever it is, the world, other people, because that means that they don't have to do shit. You can just sit there and complain. And that's not very hard to do. It's a lot harder to face up against the thing that you are and learn to transcend it. It ain't easy, but it's like, dude, you get to make the choices for your life. Like, whatever you want to do with your fucking life, that's what you get to do. That's the thing, is like you can do whatever you want. Like, starting today or whatever the fuck you want to start, like, you can just do whatever the fuck you want to do with your life. It's actually that simple. People want to make it out to be some, like, I guess there's like moments that are more divergent than others. Like, you have one point in your life where you could go one way or another, and the choice that you make is the choice that you make. And there's other times where it's like you kind of have to wait till one of those points comes up for you to kind of get moving, for you to get into motion. But it's like, dude, every day you could make a choice to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, every day. So it's like people complaining about their lives. It's like, dude, do something else then. If you don't like it, then do something. The shitty thing is that there's times where you are kind of stuck in like whatever you're in at that time. So it's like, I do get that. But then it's like, man, I don't know. It's just like sometimes you have it. I guess there are points that are more important than others, or that give you an opportunity, not important, but give you an opportunity to do whatever, like that are more like amenable to making a choice. But it's like, we really do every day. Like, you can do whatever you want in your life. It really is up to you. Like, whatever you want to do that. I think the hard thing is knowing what you want to do. Or it's like, that's the thing that people want to not address. People like to say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. But the reality is that they don't know what they want. It's hard to know what you want. It's hard to know what you're supposed to do in life. And it's just like your choice. But the thing is that your choices are what you make. Like, you get to decide that shit. So it's like, there's no complaining. There really is just like, it's whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want. It's your fucking choice. It's your life. Do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to go outside and try to meet somebody, go do that. If you want to go drive around in your car all day, do that. Like, you're gonna do whatever if you want to sit and watch TV all day, do that. Like, you're gonna do whatever you want to do. But it's like that's your choice. It's whatever it's really up to you. Whatever the fuck you want to do that thing. It's not any more complicated than that. It's like the point where it becomes complicated is really figuring out, what do I want to do? Like, that's the real question, is like, what is the choice that I should make? And it's like, for that one, man, I don't know. That one's the difficult one to answer. But people often get stuck on the first part, which is like, you can do whatever you want to do. People think that because we're so stuck inside of culture and our past and our environment and all that shit, that we sometimes don't even realize the agency that we have over our lives. We just feel like we're a part of whatever's happening and we're just going along with that. And there's no choice, there's no agency. I'm stuck. I can't do anything. I'm unhappy, blah, blah, blah. And it's really like every day, man. Some people wake up one day and realize this, and their life changes because they realize that they've never considered the fact that you could do whatever you want today. Good or bad. Sometimes it's not good for people to, they have like a mental break or some shit. Or it's like, today I could just leave my family, and then people will do that. And it's like, yeah, I guess some situations are different than others. Like, you can be stuck. You can definitely be like a little bit stuck in life. That's for sure. But, don't get stuck. I don't know. It's tough. It is kind of tough. There are some circumstances and situations that you can get into where it's like, you're locked in. But then there comes a time where you can make the choices again. At the end of the day, it's still whatever choices you still do have the choice to do whatever you want. That's the thing. Like, you still do. Yes, there's consequences, but like, whatever version of that gives you the ability to look at your life in the way that you need to look at your life, to do the things that you want to do. That inevitably, that realization that you can do whatever you want and your choices are up to you, will lead you to the place now you have to decide what you want to do. I think that is the difficult thing for people, is that people don't really know what they want. Like, what's going to be the thing that I should do here? Where should I go? What direction should I take? How should I spend my time? All that. That's the one. And I think that people would rather be stuck in the thing that they know than have to face that question sometimes. Or they think that they would know the answer hypothetically, but they really, if they had the opportunity to do whatever they want, they wouldn't really know what to do. So people get they put themselves in these situations where they avoid the fact that you really do have the ability to do anything. But the question is, then what do you do? If you could do anything you want, then what do you do? And it's like, for some people, that's not a good thing, because there's too many options. Some people love the structure of life. They wouldn't even consider the fact that what I'm saying here, because they like just being in the machine. But the thing too, I think that I'm missing here as I'm talking about this, that I've realized that I am not hitting, is that the truth of it isn't what should I do, it's what do I want. And so here's the mistake that I was making here, is that the procedural nature of this, it skips the in between. It skips the place where you have to do something to get somewhere. You just have to know where you want to go, and then start doing things, and then you will get to the place that you want to get to inevitably. Sometimes a lot of people just want to get exactly where they are and not change at all. But the key to it, I think, is that you decide what you want. And then as long as you want that, like, you just allow yourself to go there. So it doesn't really matter what you do. It's like what you do, if you know what you want and you allow yourself to start going there, then you will just do the things that you need to do to get there. It doesn't matter like what you in the moment, as long as you're going there. You have to be like, you have to allow it to take place. You have to like be like understanding that this is going to occur. What I want is going to come to me, because it will. But then in that nature, in that circumstance, the interim, the things that you do in between are almost irrelevant, because life is predicated on it's energy, man. It's like, how do I want to end up? That's how life works. Is like you create your future through your intention. So like whatever you want is the thing that you get. And so that doesn't matter. The steps in between don't actually matter that much. Of course you'll have to do them, but it lays itself out as you start walking in that direction. So that's the key. Is like it doesn't matter what you do, it matters what you want. But those two things can be confused. I think the key is people don't know what they want. People don't have any idea most of the time. Or they don't know themselves. They don't have an understanding of themselves to the point where they don't know that they're already getting what they want. Because we all are. And they've just decided, or they're just unaware of it. Always what the problem is, dude. It's like I'll find myself like focusing on something, or like some sort of like conceptualization or some sort of idea. I don't want to say like I become infatuated with it or whatever, like, but it's just like when you are focusing on an idea about something, and it doesn't have to be like something in particular. It can just be a general notion of something, like a general idea of yourself and how you are in relation to the world, or some sort of idea about how you should operate in the world. Like when you're focusing on that, then you're not doing the things you're supposed to do. When you're attached to it is attachment, but it is just like attention too. It's like you're giving attention to something that doesn't need attention. And it's also like giving the attention away from the things that you should be doing in life. It's such a disservice to yourself, because you're removing yourself from the unconscious ability to actually do the things that you need to do in your life. And it's like me personally, like I do that shit like, man, like the amount of times that I do that, where I'm literally just like, I'm living in this space where I'm focusing on an idea, and like my relationship to that idea becomes the impediment to getting what I want out of life, because I'm stuck focusing on that thing. Even if it's something I want to do, it doesn't matter. Like you can have ideas, or like you need to get places in life, but if you're continually focusing on it, and the idea becomes, if the idea is the thing as opposed to actually getting it, then that's like a big problem, because you're not going to be able to do those things if you're attached to that. If you're there, if you're looking over here, you're not going to be able to go over there. So it's just like, it's that relation to like, what are you giving your attention to? And this shit it's subtle. It's like insidious. Like you can go for years and not know what you're really doing. Like it takes a long time to understand yourself. And understand like, what am I doing wrong? But if you're not getting what you want, then you're doing something wrong. Or if you feel like your life is off, like you're able to figure it out, but it's gonna take some fucking time to figure out yourself. It takes a lot of time. This is the thing about American women, man. American women. There's like this emotional dissatisfaction with women in this country, and that they have with themselves, with their lives. You can see it in the way they conduct themselves. Most of the time, they're not all that happy. American women are a dissatisfied creature. The American woman is a dissatisfied creature. She is stuck between what she thinks she should be and then what she is. And that's the heart of it, man. And people won't like this. People won't like to hear this. I know I'll get a lot of backlash for this one. That's fine. But the truth of it is that when you put yourself in a position where you wander from the reality of what you are, But at the same time, you convince yourself that the things that you're supposed to be are in contradiction to what you are, you're just going to be unhappy. And it's not everybody. It's not all it's not all women in America, but the large majority of them are not happy campers, man. They're just not. Like, you go around the fucking country and talk to women. And I think a lot of it too is that, American men, the focus in American life is on sex. Sex has been sold to the people as this thing that is held above all, because obviously we're human beings. But what's happened is the capitalist society which we live in has it has kidnapped sex and made it a symbol of market value. It's used as marketing to sell things. So we've been conditioned now to hold sex and getting sex as like this thing that has capital value. It has social value. It has financial value. And women, they bear the brunt of this, because like most of like the real consequences of having sex are borne by women. Yes, men can get STDs, but like, it's a violent world for a woman in life in general, but in America specifically, when men are now conditioned to be seeking sex, that like most interactions now are like have this sexual subtext. Now I'm not giving women full innocence on this, because they play into it. You see the clothes they wear, you see the way that they present themselves on the surface. It's insane, man. You will never see more scantily clad women than in America. And here's the thing too. It's different than in places like Brazil. You can go to Latin America. Like, you can see women walking around with not a lot of clothes on in those cultures, in other cultures, but they aren't looked at in the way that Americans look at them, because everything about sex is like, has like this perverse like vantage point that everybody takes on it, because it's been used for now going on 70, 80 years as a marketing tool. So like, we are conditioned to just like see the woman, the female body as like, as something to like be bought and sold, basically. And that's, I'm not talking about prostitution, but I'm talking about like the value that it has. Like, for men growing up, if you're a man that's grown up in America, you know that the value of going out and getting laid, the social value of that as a young man is like, it supersedes most things. And it's like, so we've commodified it in our social lives. Of course, the marketplace commodifies it, but it's like, so you see the women on one hand they resent it, right? Because they've been commodified to that degree by men. On the other hand, they play into it at the same rate. Like, they see themselves as that. They see themselves as these entities which are to be bought and sold. Again, I'm not talking prostitution. What I'm talking about is the value that you have as a human. But they play in, the thing is, they play into it, that they say, okay, this is my value. But the core of that is it leaves a dissatisfaction in the way. That's why American women are the rudest on the planet by far. But it's because, in my opinion, it's because they have to deal with this dynamic on a daily basis, where they're being commodified, but at the same time they're playing into it and commodifying themselves. And I mean, that's like the third layer down. And then you have the whole, whatever, the feminist movement, all that shit, where women have to be both, they have to be men and women. That's what society basically tells them. You have to be a man and a woman. You have to be independent, make money, and raise kids. And so like, all of that, combine that with them being essentially commodified, their sexuality is commodified. Now again, they're not innocent. They're not innocent in this. I'm talking about like, this is a larger macroscopic structure. But like, individually, when you're talking about a human being, taking all of this on is like, there's nothing natural about any of that. Like it's put at one point it's putting yourself in the context of economy as a human, which isn't right. We're not supposed to be operating as human beings are not units of economic utility. That's not what we are. And when you ask people to be that, it embitters them to life, to everything about life. And then at the same time, you ask them now to be a single mother, raise 2 kids by yourself. You know, it's not to say that they don't make choices that lead to that, because they do. It's like there's multiple sides to it. But I'm telling, and this is hard for us to understand as Americans. It's difficult to understand this because we're so within that culture that, like, man, it's just like people in other parts of the world don't view sexuality the same way that we do. Like we're obsessed with it. We're obsessed with it to the point where it's like it creates this weird tension in society where everything is about sex. Every interaction between men and women has a sexual undertone. It's not like that. If you go to fucking Amsterdam, and Europe is kind of like that too, you know, in the modern context, because America's culture has been exported around the world. But even in Europe, like if you go to Germany and you see a girl walking around in a bikini, like it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Like people aren't looking at that like the same way. Like it's not, we have a weird fucking like creepy obsession with sex here in America. It's not right. It's not what it's supposed to be. People aren't supposed to be seen as that. But that's where we're at. And so I think that accounts for, you know, you say, why are American women so rude and just unhappy as on like principle? And it's like, I think that's why is because they're forced to play that role. Society puts this on them. And here's the thing too, if you talk to a woman about this, she will like deny that. She will say that's not true. She will say, you know, she's walking around with little clothing on. She'll say, I'm expressing myself for some bullshit. It's fake. She's selling herself. But she's not happy about it because that's not what humans are supposed to be doing. But she thinks that she's supposed to because she's in this system that forces her to believe that her value is only her sexuality and nothing beyond that matters. And so if you put somebody in that position, what else are they going to do? But at the same time we're telling them that you have to like get a college degree, you have to get a high paying job, and you have to raise kids, and you have to basically be this unit of sexual utility with for everyone to just get weird value out of. So man, that's I think that's why the American woman is such a fucking cunt, because she's dealing with all that shit. Because you have to be consistently maintaining honesty in life. Like it's one of the required things, and it's like people want to say like it's for other people, it's the benefit of like some you know, you want to do it for other people. No, you do it for yourself. Man, you need to be honest for your own life. Like your outcomes and the things that you get out of your life are going to be dictated on your behaviors. And if you're lying to yourself, this is the thing, like, yeah, other people want you to be honest to them. Sure, that's a fair, like, moral trade in society, right? But at the same time, it's like, man, do it for you. Be honest for yourself, because like you're the one that's going to pay the consequences and the price at the end of the day. Yeah, you wanted to do it for the social sphere and to have everyone get along, but it's like at the end of the day, you got to do it for you, because you're the one that fucking is living your life. Or they think that you have to be successful before you start living life, before you start like enjoying life or like doing the things that you want to do. You have to like get successful, and so they spend all this time like being miserable, trying to be successful. And they don't realize that like when you do that, like no matter what, like even when you get successful, you're still gonna be a person who's acting like a fucking miserable person. My hair is so fucking annoying. Oh my god. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about that at all. Please shut the fuck up. I'm getting it cut later this week, so no comments about that. Please zip the mouth. Thank you. But man, it's just like it's such a trap to think that like once you get what you want out of life, once you get successful, once you get the job or the car or the house or like whatever the thing you want to achieve, to think that that's going to make you happy is a mistake, because it's not. And it's like, you got to realize, like, dude, you could be happy today, or you could be enjoying life today. And like the thing that makes you happy isn't the fact that you're successful or not successful. It's the fact that you're deciding to be happy, that you're enjoying life for what it is, as opposed to be people. This is the thing, people get attached to the idea of success. It's such a attractive thing. We think that we can gain something from that material attainment, but it's like material attainment doesn't have any value, any real value. It doesn't have any transcendent value. And it's just such a foolish game to play, because we put ourselves in a position where we are pinning all of our hopes on something that will not come through for us. Like, you won't get that. Like, you won't automatically just become happy once you make $1 million. It doesn't fucking work. And people that make $1 million and spent 30 years trying to desperately do that because they just wanted to, you know, they get attached to the idea that this will set me free and I'll finally be able to live a good life once I get the money or whatever. But it's just like, it doesn't work that way. And it's like, and then those people wake up at 75 and they realize, I could have been happy the whole time. And you could still make $1 million. Go ahead and fucking make $1 million. That's fine. But it's like, dude, every step of the way, you could be enjoying yourself. It's not to say that, I'm not saying like chase pleasure solely, but I'm saying that, like, to get the things out of life that are going to make it worthwhile. Like, the end of the road, man, I'm not trying to knock, like, trying to get things and make money. I'm not knocking that at all. You have to do that in life, and more power to you. But I'm saying that if you think that that's going to bring you to the place where you want to be, it's not going to make you happy. Realize that now, because if you wake up in fucking 40 years and realize that you wasted all your time, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, man. Like, you can do it today. You can have no money and live and have a great day. You can have an exciting adventure. And if you don't, it's your fault. But like the thing that I think that people think, like, the thing that you want out of life isn't the thing that you think you want. I don't know, man. I guess people are all different. But it's just like, it's that notion that achieving the thing that you thought would set you free and realizing that it doesn't. It's like you get to that door and you put the key in the lock and you turn it and you open it and it's just nothing. Like, that's crazy. That's so crazy, man. Or it's like you open the door and it's right back where you started. It's like, okay, you didn't, like, everything I was doing wasn't it. And it's such a trap. To say for anything, man, like, just to say, like, I'll do it when I get this, I'll be happy. When I figure this out, I'll start to do the things I want in life. Like, I'll do that thing. And it's like, that time's never coming. If you don't make it today, if you don't decide to do it today, it's never fucking coming. Because it's like that, because of the nature of what it is, that thing is the thing that actually makes you happy is like this. And it's not even being happy, but I'm just saying, like, getting the things out of life that actually have like value beyond them, like a spiritual, like transcend, like emotion. I'm not saying spiritual in the sense of like religious, but the value on the sense of like it transcends the current moment, the fleeting, grasping sand slipping through your fingers of the world that we live in. Like, it's a decision. Like, you can enjoy your life and do something fun, or not even, I'm not fun. Like, it's not fun. It's just like, it's something worthwhile. Maybe I'm defining it badly, but like, it's the adventure that you want, man. It's the excitement. It's the real tangible things in life that you could have. You could have it while you're chasing your dream. But it's like that. But that's the thing, is like, that thing, it's actually just a decision to do it. People think that you're going to get that thing after 20 years of work. It's like, no, that thing is just a decision. That's all it is. You just decide you want to do that, and then you have it. But people, like, it's so crazy how people can make that mistake for decades. Some people on here, I swear, some of the stupidest fucking people I've ever fucking met in my life are on this fucking app. Honestly, I don't know why I go on here as much as I fucking do, but you know what it is? It's because people need to be taught. People need to be taught the knowledge of the fucking world. They're not going to get on their own. They need someone to bring it through a vessel of a genius to them. And that's just what it is, man. That's the reality of the fucking world, is that some people are too fucking stupid to get any information. Even when they fucking hear it, it just goes in one ear and out the other. Because you're an idiot. Because you're a retarded person. You're a stupid person who doesn't know how to think. You don't know how to take information. You don't know how to learn. You just wander through life like a fucking retard. And there's a certain percentage of people on the planet that are like that will never do anything really of value, of cognizance, of any sort of intellectual competence. They're just stupid people that are wandering through life like chickens with their head cut off, doing nothing but eating, fucking, sleeping, and then waking up and doing it again. These are some of the people on the planet with us, or some of the dumbest fucking creatures that have ever existed. And I'm including that with like animals and shit. Some of the human beings in our species are literal retards. And I'm not talking about the people that are literally retarded. I'm talking about the people that are not retarded, but are stupider than anything that you ever fucking met in your life. There are some very, very stupid people on the planet. And it's just like, you wonder how there can be true geniuses like me, obviously, and then right next to you in the same species is a mongoloid, one of the dumbest people you've ever seen in your life, standing right next to me, a genius of men, a genius of human being, a great of the species, and then we have a legitimate retard standing next to me, and we're both going to Burger King. That's the dichotomy of man, man. That's the variety of people on the planet. I've met some of the dumbest people on this app in Snapchat. Some of the stupidest fucking people I've ever seen in my life are on this. And it's sad. And it's the penance I pay to try to teach the fucking animals to fucking speak and learn and think for themselves, but they're animals. But you know what? I'm doing it for the good of the fucking species. I'm doing it for the good of the culture. I'm doing it for the good of the fucking planet, because people need to be brought out of the fucking pigsty that they're living in, the absolute intellectual desert that some people live in. It's an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment. I look at people like that. I'm embarrassed to be of the same ilk, to be of the same, cut from the same cloth. We're God's children together. I'm one of God's children with you. You're an idiot. You're a stupid fucking person. And it's amazing, man. It's a thing that blows my mind sometimes. Some of the stupidity that I encounter on a daily basis. People are fucking retarded, dude, and it's actually insane. It's actually insane. Because people will literally do anything to avoid doing things for other people. Like, think about it. Like, people can't even like conceptualize yet. And I think this is something that's wrong with American society. So I'm not speaking for everybody in the world, but it's like people will literally do anything to avoid it. It's not that they avoid doing things for other people. It's that people can't even conceptualize a world where they would do something that's not for themselves. Like, man, I'm a fucking a culprit of this too. It's just like, you get into this place in life where you're just trying to get things for yourself, and you're trying to make it on your own, and you're trying to get what you can out of life. And it's like, you can't even imagine going out of your way to do something for somebody else. Like, I feel like a lot of people are living a life like that, where it's like, even the suggestion that you should do something that's not 100% for you, people look at you like you're crazy. People would rather kill themselves than go out of they'll think their life is so meaningless because they don't have anything. They don't want to do anything because they think. I saw this comment online where this lady was like, I'm 37 years old and I don't have any kids. Should I just kill myself? And it's like, dude, like, just because you don't have something for yourself, is everything about you in life? This is the question. Is like, do you relate your value and your worth to what you have, as opposed to what you could do? Like, what could you provide to the fucking? Why would you fucking kill yourself? Like, what? Like, how much? There's an infinite amount of things that you could do of value in life. Forget for yourself, for other people. Like, why not do something for someone else? Like, you really are that fucking desolate and desperate for you have that little fucking will to live just because you don't have kids at 37. That's all about you. Like, and this, I think this is the world we live in, where people are just like, everything's about me, and if they can't even imagine doing something that's not for them. They can't even imagine going out of their way to help someone. They can't even imagine. Dude, people don't go to soup kitchens anymore. People don't work at those type of things. Like, homeless shelters are like a fucking cash grab. You know, like, people are just walking away from the society. This is what I'm seeing, dude. Like, if it ain't about me, fuck it. I'm not doing it. This is like the main mindset in our culture. Like, I think it is the thing that will lead to the downfall of American society, maybe global society as a whole, because, you know, the whole fucking world is kind of taking on this type of mindset where it's like, if it ain't about getting mine and getting something for me, then I can't even imagine doing it. And it's like, everybody's guilty of that to an extent, but it's like the shit that I'm seeing recently with people is just like, people are so fucking selfish. And it's like, there's one struck, I'm not really blaming people for it, like, 100%, because it's like, you have to be selfish in the world to survive. There's a certain amount of that you need. You have to have it. So I'm not saying that the notion of any sort of selfishness or self-centered thinking or self involved attitude is unwarranted. But it's like, dude, if you can't fucking even imagine being alive just because you don't have something for yourself, like, what could you do for, like, couldn't you do something for somebody else? Like, why isn't doing something like that, like, worthwhile to people, where you don't want to kill yourself just because you don't have something? You want to actually kill yourself because you don't have something. That's insane. Like, what could you do? Like, an infinite amount of things you could do. Not forget for yourself, for other people. But people don't think like that. People are so in their own worlds that they like, the very thought of doing something for someone else is like, they'll look at you like you're crazy. They'll look at you like you're crazy, man, because it's like, that's just not a part of our culture. Doing something for the greater good or for another person is such a foreign concept. So, yeah, man, it's just a strange time. Strange time.